Marvel Television has folded its doors as of this past week. Marvel Studios has taken over all creative control over our emails. Wonderful. Taken over control of Marvel Studios has taken over control of Marvel Television and Marvel Animation, and has taken over kind of the direction of the comic books at this point too, taking the creative storytelling in a new direction, the way that it's kind of all unified under one moniker, with having the X-Men back, having the Fantastic Four back, with Marvel Studios, so they can produce those movies and still being able to tell Spider-Man films, thanks to Sony. It's all kind of getting under one umbrella, and Kevin Feige is going to be at the top of it all as the chief creative officer. And
even the comics too.
Even the comics, yeah. That's
pretty cool.
That's
crazy when you think about it.
Go ahead, Jack. Yeah.
I love Feige, so I trust his judgment on this sort of thing. I mean, I think between him and Favreau, that's who we have to thank for a lot of, like what makes the MCU so great.
Yeah.
Over the past 20 years, 20 years.
Feels
10
that
years.
way. Feels like a long, wonderful
20 movies, 10 years.
That's hard to keep track of time.
Anywho, so that's good news to me. Because I think that cohesion is necessary. I think in comic book time past, when they've tried to make it more committee-based, like when they tried to run Spider-Man by committee, I think it hasn't worked as well. I think having one person with a good vision is always a great thing.
Right, the person to have the vision up at the top. And as everyone knows who's watched this show before, I am a huge Kevin Feige fan. I'm a huge homer for him. Born in Massachusetts, go big guy.
Represent.
So I'm a big fan of him.
That's probably not an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Look at what he's done. Look at what other studios have tried to do, other franchises. So I mean, it goes without saying. But I mean, can we take a look back for a moment to look at what the experiment of Marvel Television was? I mean, so every Marvel movie has been making $1 billion just this past year alone. Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, and then Endgame. It makes sense for the studios, who are making a ton of money for everybody, to kind of swallow up the television line, the television line has made really good quality content, but it hasn't had as many successes, probably like some notable mishaps, even though I don't necessarily call them mishaps. They're still labeled as such. I have it in my notes here. So,
Iron Fist.
Well, I mean, yeah. We'll start with Iron Fist as a missed opportunity. The ratings for The Defenders, the big Netflix crossover between all 5 of the shows, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, culminating in the crossover, the ratings kind of dropped as a result of coming after Iron Fist. So that wasn't too hot either.
I actually liked Iron Fist in The Defenders more than I liked Iron Fist in his own thing. I think it was like an Incredible Hulk situation where it's like, wow, okay, it's at least a little more tolerable.
You're better with friends.
Yeah.
What a concept. I mean...
Just like us.
Wow. The more you know.
Oof.
I mean, Inhumans was a miss for a lot of people, too, in the way that they delivered that. And also, I think the biggest one, in my opinion, is signing away the character rights for the Netflix characters after cancellation for 2 years. Jessica Jones just ended in June. We have to wait at least 2 years from that point, the end of the series, to get Jessica Jones on screen.
Ugh.
I don't know if Kristen Ritter would be a part of any of the films. I don't know if any of the TV characters and the actors would be a part of the films in any way.
I heard a nice spicy rumor that Feige said he wanted Charlie Cox to come back as Daredevil.
And he should.
And he should.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah, he should. I think if
anyone should, he should.
I think I'm seeing companies try really hard to perform a lot of fan service lately, especially when it comes to things like the MCU and Star Wars. So I'm very
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog too. Like they're bowing down to us a little bit at this point. It's a little scary.
I mean, but they
the potential of what the fans could do to franchises.
That's power I don't think we deserve to have.
I mean, what the TV division was able to do was they were able to create a spin-off show from the cultural phenomenon of Avengers with S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I don't think anyone expected that to be as successful as it was. I mean, I know that it picked up after the Hydra and Winter Soldier events took place, and that really kind of helped drive the show, but it's been really good for a long time, and you kind of forget how good it is, or at least I do sometimes, depending on which show that I want to watch that night. I mean, they were able to broke a deal with Hulu before it was bought up by Disney for live-action animated shows, and those animated shows are also supposed to come together for a crossover. They even made Cloak and Dagger for Freeform, which I highly recommend.
I heard good things. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good before it got canceled. But why has there been
sensing
such
a theme?
Yes. Why has there been such a divide between the television unit and the studio unit for so long? Well, the studio unit hated giving up all these characters. What they had for the screen and what they put into television, they couldn't use because Disney wanted to make sure that the television characters had enough resources to manifest and be successful in their own right.
There's a promise in the beginning of having a cohesive feeling to it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think is the closest that ever had a shot at being that. But even then, it was
for a while. Yeah. It was pretty strong. Eventually, it got so good that it doesn't need those characters anymore, which I'm fine with. But
with the Netflix show, you see that it was just lip service. The event that sure was rough.
yeah,
that event sure messed up New York.
But what they were able
it really
to
was so vague.
Yeah.
The
quality dipped very quickly after I think after Jessica Jones and Luke Cage season 1. I think you saw that things just wow, why isn't this hitting so well after
See, I actually strongly disagree. I think Luke Cage season 2 is actually better than season 1. I agree that Daredevil season 2 wasn't quite as strong, but I definitely think they came back stronger in season 3.
Daredevil's the only one that I think has the strongest throughout.
Oh yeah. It was
question.
pretty. I think it was pretty consistent.
I even like 2. I think 2 has some middling points.
I think the only reason why I was hesitant on 2 is because I didn't know that it was playing into the Defenders crossover. It was a great first 6 episodes to build a Punisher. And then you got all these Japanese mafia men coming back from the dead, and it's where did this come from? Where was the build-up?
That was really confusing at the time, but with retrospect,
the hand stuff just went rose right to the top.
But imagine Kevin Feige's feeling where he couldn't use Daredevil, Iron Fist, Ghost Rider, Cloak and Dagger, Punisher. He couldn't use any of these characters for his movies.
And not to spend all day on it, but that's mostly due to the feud between Feige and Ike Perlmutter, who was responsible for the way a lot of the female characters in the early MCU came across, where they were honestly kind of cheap and either damsels in distress or just love interests.
Right.
Because it's all he wanted. And so he was given control of the TV division and then was very spiteful in how he handled that, is from what I can tell.
Yes, well, not to necessarily fact check here, but Jeff Loeb had more. The comic book writer had more of a hand in the television unit. Ike had the final say.
Yeah, he was just he was a producer, which is there's only so much that he actually will bother with.
No, right, absolutely. Yeah. And now
that's a good point.
We've talked about before on this show. I've talked about in previous segments where Ike has had questionable judgment in certain things, and it's been pretty clear that his political views don't quite line up with everyone else's in the Disney company.
Which is nice to see how Feige has, helped create a more progressive tone and how everyone's treated.
I think it's necessary for comic bookdom, but that's why Disney basically shut out Ike almost entirely and took everything that he was in charge of, from the TV down to the comic books and everything else, and he took it and he put it over there. So it's now all under one umbrella. I think the only thing that Ike still has control of is the video games, like the Spider-Man games and the Avengers, but I doubt he's going to know necessarily what to do to interfere, So, but that's really all. I think Kevin Feige even has final say over the theme park attractions for what comes through Disney World. Yeah. So that's exciting if I can ever afford to go back.
Oh, Avengers World. Ooh.
That's crazy. That's
just the Avengers Initiative. I can't wait for that. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to get over to Galaxy's Edge, but
we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry. But when the shows were first being aired in 2013, 2014, we didn't really know that there was a divide. We kind of just assumed that it was all one big thing. We were told that it's all connected. It's all the same universe. We didn't really know about any of this until after. Daredevil was a huge success. Jessica Jones was even bigger than that in terms of streaming numbers. We had no reason to believe that there was anything bad, but as a result of the changeover, everything has kind of been canceled under the everything's been kind of canceled under the television unit, which is a shame because a lot of great work was put into these shows, from the creative standpoint, from the actors portraying these characters. I even will defend Inhumans for a lot of reasons, which I know most won't, but it was a great
the stunt coordination in Daredevil and Punisher specifically.
Oh man!
Oh yeah, 100%. A little too many
for a TV show.
The hallway fight shtick got a little tired by season 3 of Daredevil, but I still appreciate it.
I don't care. It's still good.
It's still good.
It's still good. And season 1, when you first see all that stuff, you're like, wow, they really tried hard with this.
So
great job.
It's the end of an experiment. in television history, something that we definitely have never seen before. I'm certainly grateful that we got such wonderful series for what they were, even if not all of them had complete conclusions. I think as of yesterday, or whenever we filmed it, whenever you're watching a blah 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 Friday, Runaways just got put out, and that's going to be the last season on Hulu. And I think it's wonderful that we were able to get this group of D-list characters and be able to make it a wonderful show. So I'm thankful to Marvel Television for giving us quality content, but at the same time, I'm really happy that it's all going to be under one unit now to get everyone on the same page and make sure that we are all on the same path. And it's perfect timing given the new characters that Marvel's going to have to play with.
And why shouldn't Feige have access to that whole rich catalog,
He's put in the effort, he's put in the time, he's super passionate about every single character in the universe, so why not give it to the guy that's proven that he can take?
I mean, after you see what they can pack into one screen on Endgame, you're like, now, what if we had, everyone?
Yeah.
Let's get everyone.
Twice that.
Let's get the
We're going to call in the Terminator next, we are going to call in Superman, we will buy everything.
Let's get Catman in there.
Catman! Rest in peace, Adam West.